Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Interscope Hearing Technologies has new technology for those who are hearing impaired. And also the CEO, Matthew Moore, is with us here today to talk about some of the developments that you've had. And I mean, it's so interesting always to talk to you, Matthew, about this issue because there are 46 million people who suffer from some form of hearing loss. And it's a huge market and you're out there to help them. So can you kind of explain where you're at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nearly 40 million Americans suffering from hearing loss today that aren't getting any hearing assistance whatsoever. And that's primarily due to cost, accessibility, awareness, education. You're talking a lot of reasons why: denial, vanity, stigma. And Interscope really does provide solutions with our premium, highly accessible, affordable, direct-to-consumer hearing devices. And that is where, we're out there helping people to hear better and really to understand and have a better relationship with their friends and family members. Because remember, hearing loss just doesn't affect the person with the hearing loss themselves. It's also the people that, around them, friends, family members. If you can't communicate with your loved one, and this is also to the people out there that are actually talking to the family members and friends that know someone with hearing loss. You really need to get that checked out, and you really need to get that person some hearing assistance. And that's where Interscope can help and provide that premium, affordable, direct-to-consumer hearing devices.
Mm-hmm. Now, does somebody need a prescription for a hearing device?
Yeah, that is one of the biggest misinformations out there right now, is that it came out even a couple of years ago. The FDA even reclarified it, that a person does not need to see a professional. They do not need a prescription. They do not need to see a doctor. They don't need to see anyone to get a FDA registered hearing aid. As long as the hearing aids are FDA registered, which all of our hearing aids are, as long as they're FDA registered, someone can buy a direct-to-consumer hearing aid. You can buy a hearing aid in a local professional's office, or you can buy it from our website. There is no difference. Our hearing aids are exactly the same as the ones in the professionals. But what we've done is really cut out the middleman to really help provide that service and that education and those products without spending $8,000 for a set of hearing aids. I mean, our hearing aids are $1,000 to $1,500 a set, and then on top of that, our products, we offer a subscription model. So really, a person can buy a product and sign up for a subscription model for less than $50 a month for a set of premium, affordable hearing devices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the cost is just amazing. And I know that does keep a lot of people out of it. And there are also people maybe that have early hearing loss and don't quite even realize it yet. Is there a solution, like a first step that somebody can go to and see if they have an issue?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is one of the biggest issues is, with the 40 million Americans that are suffering from hearing loss that aren't getting any current hearing assistance, it all comes from them not being aware of their hearing loss. And that's where you can go to our website, myheariq.com. That's our new e-commerce platform. You can easily test your own hearing. It gives you the instant results right there. You can have a consultation with one of our licensed hearing health professionals. You don't have to have that if you don't want to. simply take your test and you can find out what you're missing, what you're hearing, and what you're not. And that's also to the friends and family members as well. If you suspect someone has a hearing loss or a friend or family member has a hearing loss, go to myheariq.com, have them test their hearing and find out what they're hearing and what they're hearing, what they're not. Because early detection is the key here, because a person goes 6 to 10 years before they buy a hearing aid after they realize they have a hearing loss. Mm-hmm. So early detection is key. So please go to myheariq.com and test your hearing.
Okay. And then, I mean, you've got 46,000 shareholders, which is amazing. Can you update shareholders on where you are? What are your goals for 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just launched our latest premium affordable direct-to-consumer app-controlled hearing devices on our e-commerce. We have signed, executed distribution agreements with numerous online and brick-and-mortar retailers. A lot of these are still under NDA, and we're still unable to fully disclose those at this time. But let's just say is that we have over 25 kiosks currently on order, and we'll be receiving these hearing screening kiosks. These are hearing screening kiosks that we're going to be putting inside retailers, pharmacies, grocery stores, that a person can literally test their hearing in these retail locations and purchase a product directly from the kiosk itself. So we have these kiosks coming in within the next 4 to 6 weeks, and we're going to be launching these in numerous states in the coming months. And literally, we have dozens of retailers that we're communicating to right now about launching these hearing screening kiosks, these physical hearing screening kiosks, and our products on their websites, in stores. And I mean, we just have so many things on our plate right now. It is incredible how much hearing health is really being brought to the forefront right now.
Okay, very interesting. And I look forward to updates as you're able to reveal more information later on this summer, Matthew. Always great to talk to you.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.
With me is the CEO of Simplicity Esports, Roman Franklin, to bring us an update on what's going on. Great to see you again.
Likewise, Shane. Thanks for having me back.
So let's start by discussing another month of record-setting revenue. So explain how that's all coming together for you.
That's right. So our CFO has been hard at work with the auditors for the past month to finalize the 10K. And is still diligently working on that as we speak. And that was obviously for the period ended 5/31. But in the meantime, Simplicity set another record in June for monthly revenue generated by our esports gaming centers. What's most exciting for me about June's revenue is that the record was achieved while the majority of our corporate-owned gaming centers were still operating under capacity limitations. Obviously, it's because COVID-19 restrictions in certain states still exist, like California, Washington, and Oregon. But if we continue to see those restrictions lifted, it will allow us to serve more customers, which I expect to result in continued revenue growth, which is exciting.
Yeah. So, and you recently announced that you're also mining crypto as part of your gaming business. So explain how that works.
An esports company that mines cryptocurrency, yes. So it's interesting. One of the requirements of a great gaming PC is a top-performing graphics card. While we do primarily focus on esports and gaming, coincidentally, PCs that efficiently mine the cryptocurrency Ethereum also require the same top-performing graphics cards, that same hardware. So we have hundreds of gaming stations across our 33 locations. And through a partnership with one of our third-party software providers, we began in late June to participate in a mining pool by passively mining Ethereum when our PCs are not in use by customers, including in overnight periods. So essentially what that means is when they're not in use, the system automatically goes back and forth between mining Ethereum as well as allowing a customer to play a game on our system. At this point, the increase in energy expense has been nominal compared to the monthly mining revenue for us. So, our PCs have historically sat idle overnight, and there's something very attractive to me about the idea of increasing the monetization from each PC by having our machines working to produce financially for shareholders while we sleep.
Absolutely. No, and I had no idea that the Ethereum took the graphics card and all that. So that's really interesting piece of information there. So, and I know you're trying to double the number of esports gaming centers by adding 30 locations over the next 18 months. So where does that stand?
That's right. So it's the plans are to increase our footprint by at least 30 locations over the next 18 to 24 months. Which is a fairly aggressive expansion. Those will all be corporate-owned locations. Our current corporate-owned footprint sits at 15 locations, so significant growth there. But we have great relationships with our existing landlord partners. That includes some of the largest mall owners in the country. We plan to significantly deepen those relationships with the increase in our footprint. They'll all be new percentage rent leases, and so we're excited about that. We discussed in our last segment, the percentage rent structure allows us to pay the landlord a percentage of gross sales instead of a large fixed rent obligation. So we like that flexibility that this structure provides as we continue to expand our footprint and maintain our position as the largest esports gaming center operator in North America.
So Roman, I understand you've applied for an uplisting to the NASDAQ. Where does that stand?
Well, first, I want to give a disclaimer and clearly state that there are no guarantees that a company will receive approval from NASDAQ to list its securities. And I can't really comment on process or timing, but I can confirm we have applied to list our stock on NASDAQ. And as a company, Simplicity recognizes that listing on a national exchange, such as NASDAQ Capital Markets, gives public companies like ours a more visible and accessible platform with which to reach the investing world. So all updates regarding the status of the application will be shared via public press release in the future.
Okay, well, good luck on that as well. So thank you, Roman.
Great. And Jane, there's one other item I'd like to add on a side note, right? So even as we trade currently on OTCQB prior to a potential uplisting to a national exchange, as it sits today, Simplicity Sports and Gaming Company is the only publicly traded esports company in North America that has majority ownership of a League of Legends franchise. These franchises are limited in supply globally, but a franchise in the European region was recently acquired by Team BDS for more than $31 million. So I'm sure your viewers can do a quick Google search and start to come to their own conclusion about the value of the League of Legends franchise, which we own. And again, WINR is the only public way to participate or purchase equity in a company that owns a League of Legends franchise.
Okay. Well, thank you, Roman. I look forward to updates later on this summer.
Thank you.
We have seen a lot of hacks, ransomware attacks in the U.S. recently. And with me is Elaine, who is the founder and CEO of Globex Data, to talk about that and how secure their product may be able to prevent some of these things. So great to see you again.
Great seeing you, Jane, and hi to everybody who's watching us.
Yeah. So let's just start with, I mean, we've of course had SolarWinds. We've had the JBS meat plant attack. I mean, that was Brazil, but they have a huge U.S. operation. The Colonial Pipeline. I mean, there's been a lot. It felt like a lot there week after week. I mean, what's kind of your viewpoint when you see these stories? What are the things that you think about as being a privacy expert?
So all of these hacks, and by the way, the JBS affected North American plants too. All of these hacks are essentially happening because the software systems in the world, the global software system that has been built over the past decade or two has relied a lot more on open source coding. And what's happening now, when you do open source coding, it means that you have a lot of people that can collaborate to improve the service and the code, so they function well. But the problem is that somebody can reverse engineer it. You have hackers that maliciously penetrate a developer group. And essentially, it's like imagine the secret formula of Coca-Cola, right? So, and then you can recreate Coca-Cola or spike Coca-Cola, which is what they do now with hacking. They put malware, they put everything like that. And all of these hacks, they really start with email penetration, because the source of information, the biggest communication style today for businesses is email. So a hacker will get in sometime for several months, watch your email account, trying to get information to see, any kind of thing, from password to your servers, all the way to I don't know, how you process plant meat, or, what do you do for your pipeline? And what's happening is the email system today is dominated by Google and Microsoft. And the problem is that both have been compromised. We've heard about SolarWinds attack with Microsoft. This is the first time that the source code of Microsoft was stolen. And that's a huge thing, because it used to be that if you have your server and you have email exchange from Microsoft and you kept it in your own environment, you were safe. And people used to say, well, I don't want to put my email on the cloud. I'm going to have my own environment. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, well, perfect lead in then. Can you explain to me what Secure can do? And I know your focus is on privacy. So let's talk about how people kind of put privacy, security together. How are they different, and what do you do? What's your solution?
So the first thing that we do is we don't use the big tech platforms. We have our own platform, so we're not running our software on Amazon Web Service, like I would say 98% of the software company, from Signal messaging to Dropbox to whoever. Even LinkedIn is using AWS. So we don't use AWS, Microsoft, or Google. That prevents 99% of the hacking to start. We also never developed in open source coding. We have our own proprietary technology, so we don't have millions of developers out there with our secret sauce that they can reverse engineer. So those two concepts are simple to understand. Don't go on the big platform, don't go on open source coding. On top of that, we store everything in Switzerland. Our sister company, the original company that started this whole development, is Swiss. I'm Swiss myself. And in Switzerland, we have the strictest data privacy laws in the world.
Thank you so much, Elaine, for joining us. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks, everyone, for watching us.
Winston Gold announced a test run of the Paradigm Mill facility, and it has yielded promising results. So with me is Murray Nye, the CEO, also director of Winston Gold. Welcome, Murray, and this sounds very promising.
Hi, Jane. Thanks very much for having me on again. Yeah, it is promising. We've, we hope to have this mill running in January. We've had some. It's been problematic because the mill has been sitting idle for probably 15 years. So we've had some issues with it. Nothing really serious. There, one thing in particular that took quite a while was to fix was the main pinion bearing in the mill. We got that repaired, and then all back together again. And since then, in the last couple of weeks, we've been testing it. And one of we reconfigured some of what they call flotation cells. This is what they call a gravity flotation mill. Part of the recovery of the gold and silver comes on what they call a gravity circuit, and the balance comes on what they call a flotation circuit. So we have in this mill 3 banks of flotation cells to improve the recovery. So in doing our testing, we're running some really low grade stuff because we didn't want to put anything good into the tailings pond, but we ran the low grade and we got the recoveries up on the last run up to 85%. So we're really kind of excited about that because the recoveries were running in around the 60%, and on the last run it was 85. We still have one more bank of flotation cells to they're installed. They just have to be hooked up. There are some electrical components that needed to be installed. They're going to be installed probably in the next few days. So we'll have the mill completely back together again, and we hope that can bring the recoveries into the 90% range.
Wow. So when I read the press release, you talked about improvements that were made. So that's what you're referring to there, some of the things that were needed to get it fully operational?
Yeah, it's fully operational. Yes. When we started up on the next rotation, we're just finishing up the last bit of installing. When I say installing, we're putting those electrical components into the flotation cells to make them work correctly. But all the other improvements have been done. So I think it's good to go. At least I'm hoping so. We don't have any more issues, but that should happen probably in a week or so.
Okay. Now this Paradigm facility will be developed into what exactly?
Well, it's the mill that processes the material we mine. So it's rated at 150 tons a day. So what we're trying to do initially is feed that mill with 150 tons a day of gold-bearing material. That will produce XYZ number of ounces of gold and XYZ number of ounces of silver. So we'll be monitoring what they call the head grade. That's the material going into the mill. And then what you do is you monitor what's coming out the tail end or the tailings, and the difference between the head grade and the tailings gives you your recovery rate. So we're hoping to get the recoveries up around 90%, Jane.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Murray. Great to see you again, and best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, nice being with you again. Thanks very much.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Anna Berry, and this is New to the Street. Please welcome Elaine Guy with Globex Data. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you, Anna. Have a pleasure to be here, and hi to everyone who's watching us.
Well, we want to learn about Globex Data, specifically Secure, and how Secure encrypts all of your communications and doesn't collect or sell any data. That's extremely important in today's world. Tell us why.
Great. Well, Secure, which is spelled S-E-K-U-R, is our email and messaging application. We also have a messaging application on its own called Secure Messenger. Both of them can be found on secure.com. What we do is we are a Swiss-based email and communication provider. And the reason why we don't collect your data and sell it, first of all, it's illegal to do according to Swiss law. And also we use proprietary technology. So that's non-open source, and we don't use the big tech platforms. So we're not hosted on Amazon Web Service, Google, or Microsoft. We have our own platform, and that guarantees a user the full privacy. Because if you use an application that's using the AWS platform, for example, there would be some data mining there. Also, there's a lot of risk of hacking. So secure is both private and secure, it's hosted in Switzerland. So that's where the strictest data laws are.
Yeah, why Switzerland?
So I'm from Switzerland myself. I started a company about 15 years ago in Switzerland. Switzerland has a very good international relations. We have energy independence, great connectivity with most of the world. So in terms of infrastructure, it's an amazing place in Europe to have your base. The Swiss data privacy laws are the strictest in the world. So for example, in Switzerland, it's illegal, it's a penal crime to divulge somebody's IP address, which is unreal because here we have everybody's stealing everybody's IP address and everybody's email and phone numbers are shared. So in terms of privacy, Switzerland is really the Rolls-Royce of all of the privacy laws. Then on top of that, we have our own proprietary tech. We don't use any third-party platform or third-party developers. And we keep things in-house, and we also have some features by design, like self-destruct timer on your messages, which would destroy the message both on your phones and in our servers. And we also do something critical for privacy and security. When you buy these applications for Messenger, you typically have to put your phone number. With us, we never require your phone number. So you don't have to give your phone number away. That eliminates a lot of hackers. We don't social engineer the address book. We can't just upload all your addresses to our system. Our users typically have a SMID number that's generated, and you have to accept who wants to get into your circle and so forth. And also you can use Secure to message an outsider. So if you use WhatsApp, Signal, or any application out there, the other person needs to have the app as well. With us, you can chat by invite. And for example, you don't have Secure, I'm going to send a chat to you. You'll get an email and it'll say, Elaine wants to chat with you. You click on your phone, it'll open a secure browser, and you and I can have that conversation without you even having to buy the application as well, which makes it great for professionals, bankers, lawyers, medical, you name it. And when the conversation is done, I can terminate it and it'll disappear from all your devices and mine. So that's unique in the world to do that.
Well, data security is a hot topic, especially in the U.S. right now. And I see that you recently came to the U.S. How have you been received and what's it like?
Well, the U.S. respects, the U.S. does respect privacy, but the companies don't. I think people in the U.S. are looking for protecting their identity. They've been scammed enough by all sorts of hackers and people pretending to have their identity. So in the US, the climate is now, people are looking to protect their data. They finally understood that their entire life is for sale on a minute-by-minute basis. Whatever you do, whichever bank you use, and so forth, is out in the open to be sold to corporation for data mining. And our application has been extremely well received. We also trade on the U.S. Stock Exchange, so that's also nice. We have a subsidiary in the U.S. as well. So I love coming to the U.S. I love the States, and I'm happy that finally we'll be able to come and provide some true privacy for all Americans.
So you mentioned banking. What are some other common activities that we do every day that makes us vulnerable to security threats?
So the big ones are banking, medical.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us on New to the Street.
Thank you, Anna. Happy to be here.